Before I introduce our featured poets, I want to remind you all that we're calling for poems written in response to the poetry of our season's featured readers. And Caitlin Press is officially publishing our anthology. Woohoo! Thank you, Caitlin. And it's tentatively called After Poems in Dialogue, and then a little tag underneath, a Canadian Anthology of Response Poetry. So please send your poems in. It's on the website. Zoe and I are editing it. And we're very excited to see what you've written in response to our featured readers. We have 2 calls for submission. The first one is already open to the readers in the first half of the season, and we're in the second half now. And the call for that period of writers will open soon, I think in June. Anyway, check out the details online. And so here we are with Ben and Tina. Ben Robinson is a poet, musician, and librarian. His first book, The Book of Benjamin, an essay on naming, birth, and grief, was published by Palimpsest Press in 2023, and his poetry collection, As Is, was published by ARP Books in September 2024. He has only ever lived in Hamilton, Ontario. Please welcome Ben Robinson.
Wonderful, yeah, that looks good. I love this microphone. I'm a musician as well, as you mentioned, and so always love a good vintage microphone. This is my book, As Is. As Kieran mentioned, I'm here from Hamilton, and this book is, I don't know that it's a love letter to Hamilton. I don't know that people write love letters to Hamilton. If you've been there, you maybe have some idea of why, but it's an investigation of my relationship to Hamilton anyway. Sort of a thinking through of place and our relationship to place. A relationship to place that goes beyond the name of the city, right? Hamilton is, like many of the cities here, a relatively new idea. It's a recent idea. Hamilton is 177 years old. And so I was looking for a way to think about place that got beyond that time scale, that went a little bit further back. So that's where we're starting anyway. I'm going to read you one called Chain Bearer. So part of my investigation was looking at surveying as sort of this literalizing, this abstracting of the land, right? You take this landscape that is dynamic and you draw these straight lines and right angles on it. And it really changes our relationship to it. So this is Chain Bearer. Augustus Jones laying out Main Street with a 100-link chain, pulled taut every 66 feet. A slight deflection each time he resets for the next segment, most pronounced at Queen, where perhaps he stumbled or lost his bearings after lunch, giving the street its northward bent. This afternoon, the roads department echoes his drifting line along 5 lanes of asphalt for commuters to trace with their wheels come morning. The next poem I'm going to read is called Why Not Give In and Call It Lovely, which was spray painted on the sidewalk in my neighborhood. And as soon as I saw that, I thought, okay, that's mine now. I'm taking that. Why not give in and call it lovely? The potholes are circled in fluorescent paint. It's one person's job to circle and another's to fill. What could be more like this city than highlighting its flaws in bright orange? This year, the Poetry Award is brought to you by a local broker. Catcher every other Wednesday, backed up by the weatherman singing requests at the Coach and Lantern. Here in 1814, a sidewalk plaque announces 8 men were sentenced to hang for treason against a country that did not yet exist. A gallows constructed at the lake's edge, and afterward, heads paraded through town on stakes. A century later, on the same hill, council holds a competition to design a ceremonial gate for the northwest entrance. The winning submission includes a bandstand, a zoo, a tea room, a clock tower, 4 niches cut into the bridge's supports to be filled with statues of famous residents, though they remain empty to this day. It's the true Hamilton experience. This poem's called Dream Home. Good rain poem. The whole time I've been here, it's been nicer at home than it has been out here. I mean, it's been nice in other ways, but it's not been warm and it's been wet. And I brought 1 pair of pants because I flew flare, so it's been complicated. I come to in the black and it's pouring and I'm not sure which house I'm in, not that I have more than one or even have this one. But in this moment, before the dimensions reveal themselves, I could be anywhere I ever lived, any room I undressed in, bed I ever slept in. This next poem is called Plot Hole. I was looking at George Hamilton. You guys have a George out here as well, I think, in Vancouver at least. Yeah. I was looking at this figure of the founder, and he's an elusive figure in Hamilton, even though he is the namesake of the place. Hard to pin down. Plot hole. George Hamilton arrived to this area in 1816. The police village of Hamilton was established in 1833. The city of Hamilton was inaugurated in 1846. The city decided to observe its centennial in 1913. To celebrate the occasion, the city published Hamilton, Canada, its history, commerce, industry, resources. The frontispiece featuring a photograph bearing the caption, "The founder of Hamilton, George Hamilton," which circulated for decades before someone determined the first photographer to visit Hamilton arrived in 1842, 6 years after Hamilton's death. The original image of an unknown man, altered after the fact, with the addition of a top hat, beard, coat, and cane. All you need. I forgot mine though. I'm going to read a pandemic poem. So some of this thinking about place and thinking about home, we were so confined and my attention at least was so focused on these really trivial things, but at the time they felt significant. And this is one of those. Establish a perimeter. The man the landlords pay to cut our lawn insists on mulching Allison's dahlias with the mower. As part of his contract, he will not move anything that's on the grass. Cuts right around the kiddie pool, my son's bike. Now, each night before he comes, Allison goes out to the yard and constructs barricades of lawn chairs along the edges of the beds. God bless her. Never loved her more. This next one's called Secure Your Spot Today. And, once we got out of the house a little bit, it was COVID. I had a young child. He was sort of 6 months when everything shut down. We ventured out into the neighborhood a little bit. And so this poem is branching out a little bit. Secure your spot today. The men sipping tall boys by the fountain wish him a good day, but he is focused on the pigeons, on the condos, on the trucks that build them. He waves to the workers from his stroller, the union constructing luxury condos, flying yellow banners over a hole they will fill with 30 stories of tempered glass. Twin excavators idle in an otherwise empty lot. His arms extend, then swing gleeful. My son on the side of the wrecking ball, and I cannot tell him the pair are parked here to move the last tenant along from the apartments above the shuttered antique shop. Upwind of the former lumber yard, he grins as a power shovel shears a steel girder in two. 63 units on the way, clad in corrugated metal and brick, but not wood, to reference the site's industrial past. A man in a raptor's crewneck explains the silo in the back once brimmed with sawdust. The cleaners leaving each night battered like fish. A fan sprays mist over the rubble to keep the particulate down. His perfect teeth have baby carrots the whole way home. I got a couple more here for you. I just want to thank you all for coming out for poetry on a rainy, is it Friday? Yeah. I've lost my sense of time a little bit in the time change, but thank you all for being here. Kieran and the Planet Earth crew, this is so lovely. Lovely to hear you all read, and really looking forward to your reading as well, Tina. Thank you. I'm going to read you two more. That's okay, we got time?
Yeah,
Great.
yeah, totally.
I didn't check my watch. I wore it, but one of these days. Okay. The bylaw. I got really into bylaws too. Thinking about place and the city, and bylaws, they're dry and they're monotonous, but they're also an agreement about how we want to live together, what is important to us, or at least what is important to the people who make them. Maybe that's a little overly democratic sounding, but this is bylaw to provide for and regulate a waste management system for the city of Hamilton. I push my son through our neighborhood. It's just us and the dog people. A three-legged chair on a lawn, a box spring at the curb with no bugs spray painted on it in black. Today is no longer garbage day, but collection day. The trucks circle with giant stickers on their sides that read, "Put waste in the right place." A decade back, the city passed a bylaw limiting each household to 1 bag of trash per week. So each year the stores sell bigger bags. All last summer and into the fall, our compost was sent to a landfill while council discussed how to address the odor issues at the processing facility. Last week, I watched a man dump the contents of my neighbor's green bin into my neighbor's blue bin, then wheel the green bin away. The Tim's across the street has changed the labels on its receptacles from trash to landfill. Not what it is, but where it's going. And I'll leave you with N12, which is the way a lot of, this is an Ontario reference, I guess. N12 is like, if your landlord's gonna move into your apartment, you get an N12 in your mailbox, which is maybe, the way a book about housing ends, unfortunately. But there's a happy ending beyond the book, but we end with an N12 here. On the last day, Al and her dad transplant the garden to the back of her sister's pickup. A crater in the beds where each root ball once lay. Lavender, echinacea, and sage on the breeze as we dodge potholes down Cannon. Thank you all so much.
That's gorgeous. Thank you so much, Ben.
Tina Biello is an actor, a poet, and a playwright. She's Italian by way of Lake Cowichan, BC. She is born to immigrant parents from southern Italy. The Weight of Survival is her fourth collection of poems. She was the second Poet Laureate of Nanaimo from 2017 to 2020. Since then, she has been collaborating with composers. Her next book will be infused with recipes from her homeland. Please welcome Tina Biello.
Oh, and look, there I am. And I won't look. Thank you all for coming out. Thank you. I am sorry I was late. Blame it on me. But because of that, I am going to set my timer on my phone. So that here we go. All right. So gosh, so much about what has been read tonight resonates. Writing about a place. Susan Braley, your poem just like hit me to the core. And I just, in response to that, and well, I planned it anyway, but I speak two languages. I speak the language of my ancestors, which is a dialect from southern Italy. There's not many of us on the island. And this dialect will die at some point when the elders are gone. In my first book, I endeavored to write a poem in the dialect, which was really hard to do. So I'm going to let you hear it so it does not become a ghost in my mouth. And I'll read half of it, and I'll go fast because nobody will understand, but you'll get a flavor for it. And the title is Ngopukyan Damash, and that's the place where my mom lived. And that was its name for however long. I don't even know, but I should know that. Mamash de tata luce. E fanut per me sei, tutti I figli stanno dormendo, ma l'ultima me te ne rete repert. Ma mac menza chiagni. A vita che in America più faccio, ma che cosa sta mengando? Ma sera gente non si vanno a fare camminata, passeggiata come facevano a Casa Calenda. A gente vanno a dormire che in America. Pina pensava la vita in Italia. Dove giornati I figli gli quavano per via, non gestivano I macchine sui cavalli, I ciucci, I gente che parlavano, femmine sole perché I mariti stavano a masseria. Non vide più I femmine bonite che fanno a cavazzetti mezzo a via, chiacchierevano. Belle giornate. Non vide più I galline mezzo a via, a pizzerendini. Non vide più I femmine che dicono rosario. Giornate piene di sole, parlavamo di tempo antico. E mo nessuno fanno sti cose, sono tutti perduti. Dicono scambo signore, mo dimostra la lingua che mi se ne va, e nessuno mi capisce. I read it all. Because it feels good in the mouth. It's really interesting. When you don't speak the language, it does become like a ghost in the mouth. In fact, when I've been back to Italy, it takes a while for my whole mouth to warm up. But I get there. So a lot of my poems are about the experience of being from two places. And my parents, God love them, who came post-World War II, and they escaped really. And I was actually rereading, Lynn Bowen has written a great nonfiction book called Whoever Gives Us Bread. She's a Nanaimo writer about the Italian immigration experience in BC. And it was so great to see my family reflected in a piece of nonfiction. But anyway, she talks about the mass immigration of Italians. And they didn't want to leave, but they did. So I'm going to start reading a poem now. This one is to imagine what would have happened if they hadn't left. 64 years ago, my father did not board the boat to Halifax. Instead, he grabbed an espresso at the cafe at the dock in Napoli, turned and headed home. 2-hour train ride east to his Casa Calenda. Even though he had all the paperwork, had to face his mother who wouldn't speak to him when he left. Spent time in Rome to Pesa Vist, he could not bear the size of the boat, La Vulcania. It was big, like the boat that took him as a prisoner in the war. He turned back. Left his trunk on the platform and walked the 100 steps uphill to his home with his father's initials carved over the door. B.N. Biello Nicola. It was November, olive trees bursting with fruit, the farmers of the village harvesting, houses and streets empty, including my mother and her 3 little ones. Loading up Rondello, who lived in the stable below, as though he never left, the horse nuzzled him with his long nose, sniffed his jacket, stood perfectly still for the saddle up. And as though the tears were never shed, the cries from his eldest, Quandachit of a dame, never uttered, he rides the 20 minutes to his farm. Rondello holds the weight of his man, carries him to a place they both know so well. So I grew up in Lake Cowichan, which is a tiny logging town. I'm sure a lot of you know it. It was, I'll just read this poem about growing up and eating different food from my friends. There were only 4 Italian families. One of them was my grandparents. It's called Number 8 Cottonwood Street. The first time I ate pig's brain, fried in my mom's cast iron pan, I thought it would make me smarter. Nothing odd or gross, just food from the old country in our little house in Lake Cowichan. One afternoon, Leanne came over for lunch, grabbed the pig's blood in a jar out of the fridge, thought it was strawberry jam. From then on, I insisted only Twinkies and peanut butter on white bread came to school. Yeah. Okay. So I don't know. I'll read one more about my dad and then a little bit about the curses that he flung. I don't know. He was a great cursor. So I have a few I'll share with you. I took poetic license with him. But this one, he was a logger. And he always said that was much easier than the work he did back at home. So I can only imagine. The photograph on his dresser. He is standing on a logging truck, tiny on these trees, cedar, hemlock, fir, all around him an echo, the mountains stripped. My mom was a tree planter. Pictures of her 8 months pregnant on the slopes of Bald Mountain, I learned to talk tree. Hear the forest breathe, the green. Dad never felled trees. He just cut their limbs off. Fallen soldiers like the ones he hid under in Libya, the red cross faded on his arm. He didn't want his picture taken. English so broken, they thought they sent him up to tighten. He thought they sent him up to tighten the chains. They wanted a picture of the short Italian, the smallest man on the sort standing on the biggest tree of the year. The picture stayed hidden in his drawer, an old 1x2 from the 60s, now blown up and framed for his 80th birthday. He didn't say a word. Thanked my sister for the birthday gift. Too old now to take back all the killing in his life. But he could curse. So these are interspersed throughout the book. I'll just read a few of them. This is called Curses Old Country Magic 1. Tapotza tortumal. May you suddenly become ill, drop down to the ground, and begin a slow fever that doesn't break. Then when you think you are just about to get better, may you get sick again. They were very dramatic. I really did take poetic license here. I'll read another one. You know, they feel good in the mouth. Curses Old Country Magic 2. Porca de dia sangue de Madonna. May the church you so readily believe in crumble around you. Your faith an illusion. There is no God. May that olio d'olive, the olive oil you have prepared in your special bowl at home to ward off evil eye, go rancid. And just when you go to replace it, may you realize you have none left and have to use sunflower oil, which doesn't work. Then let all the evil eyes in town know this and begin their descent upon your house. If they're in your lineage, I really recommend writing them out. They're really fun. Okay. Sorry, I was really prepared. one I'll read about my nonna. I spent a lot of time with my nonna and nonno, who were one of the other families in Lake Cowichan. She didn't speak any English. They never learned to drive. They would walk to the co-op or have their groceries delivered. Anyway, Nonna's house. Nonna sits up all night, prays the rosary, sometimes silent, sometimes sotto voce. Ave Maria, prega per noi. Me lying beside her with one eye open. A dolphin asleep, keeping track of the wind. Falling debris outside the window. Nonna speaks in a rhythm foreign to this land, a language almost dead, as she prays for the wind to die down. It's the wood she isn't used to. Houses made of stone don't blow in the wind. Here this house remembers a few short years ago it was a tree, and does what a tree must do, sway. She prays to her God to keep the roof on, her granddaughter safe, and this new life at least better than the centuries of tears she came from. Oh boy, okay. There's another one here called Fontana. I have an aunt that's a character, and this one is based on her. Fontana, which is fountain. One cherry tree in the backyard survived 25 years in the same spot. The bark on the trunk split open. Cherries no longer juicy, the leaves drooped in July. She took everything at the end of her life, everything alive in her backyard, and killed it. The trees, grass, veggie garden, even the compost pile way at the back by her husband's woodshed, gone. No earth, no dirt, no worms, just the gray of shale, limestone, and clay, concrete everywhere. Fountains were placed around the whole yard. Several had naked women pouring water out of an urn or lounging over the basin. Some had angels, cherubs with wings, water spouting out of their mouths, all on different timers, water constantly spitting, that sound all she could hear at noon, 3 p.m., midnight. This all before her hearing stopped. Her liver too, her heart close behind. Do you want to hear another curse? Yeah. Curses, Old Country Magic 4. I don't think I read 3, but that's okay. Tapatsapilangarp. May your body start to tremble so that every glass of wine you pour falls and stains your clothes, especially your one set of Sunday church finest. May your wife never get the stain out. Oh boy. I'll read the final curse and then a final poem, and that'll be my time. Curses, finale. Tapotsagital velain. May every word you speak be poison to your lover's ears. May you be silenced by that same poison, and when you open your mouth to speak, may you sound like your beloved donkey. Donkeys featured very, very big in the village. It's chuch. Anyway, it's really interesting to be of two places. I do write about Canada too, but I find this was my first book, and it just keeps coming up. I guess we write what we know, so that's what we write. This one is called His Ashes, and it's a grief poem to someone I really loved. In bed for 3 weeks, he travels far, out from under fluorescent lights, into the forests of the mountains, running through the country of his childhood. The nature spirit's happy he is home. Meanwhile, they poke, prod, extract blood-stained sheets, his wife busy paying the bills, talking to doctors, getting the house in order, his return imminent in the last. Nothing bothers him here. In between these worlds, he has called on me to call on her, bring her down, the air much easier to breathe here where the grass can grow. It was before death, before goodbye, she could stand in the garden and not weep. Today, his ashes smeared on her hands, on her face, breathing him in, taking him inside her one more time, before earth will claim him. And today, in the here and now, the after, she learns to breathe new breath. His ashes line her lungs, his heart glows inside her as she speaks. The heron has bells on her feet. It's how we hear her fishing in a pond where she is not welcome. Goldfish hide in the reeds as the turtles hold their own, the weight of survival, deep in the mud. This is the way with heart, knows the whole time it is the body that takes time to catch up. Born just after the drought, when the rains returned, light no matter what time of day follows her. It is the darkness she does not understand. The days have been long, that's my timer. The days have been long, the mouth aches. It is a story she cannot tell, the one where she is alone. 40 years and now alone. No one tells a woman, this is how you do it. The years have been long. Ask the oak tree, she will tell you. Keep standing. Shoot roots down for water when the years are dry. Keep your leaves as long as you can stand it before the goodbye. Then it is you in the dark nights, frost, wind, and occasional snow. The years have been long, but the loving good. Thank you.